Hello and welcome to this tutorial brought to you by Babila. In this video, we are going to take a look at the new Inkscape 1.0 interface. I am going to show you around the interface and introduce you to some of the essential things you need to be aware of to use the program comfortably. I am currently using Inkscape 1.0 for Windows. If you are using an earlier version, a Mac or Linux version, the software is in principle the same across platform. For quick learning, I advise you to have Inkscape open and follow along. If you downloaded and installed a fresh version of Inkscape, the interface will look like mine. If you are using a version of Inkscape that does not look like mine, you will need to first of all come to View, pull your mouse cursor down to the bottom and select Wide to make sure you end up with the same view I have here. For the rest of this course, I am going to use the Wide option. What you will come to learn later is that you can customize this layout by changing the look and feel or adding and removing some functional groups. It would, however, be helpful right now for you to have the same layout like I, so you can follow along. Now, if for some reason you are using Inkscape and don't see the same as I have here, do not panic. It could well be that someone before you may have customized things to an extreme if you share the same computer. By default, all the bars here are switched on. However, some people may prefer to have some of the bars or menu boxes switched off so they have more space to work on. So, let me show you how the bars can be toggled on and off. If I come again to View and go to Show/Hide, we can see that all the boxes to the left have been checked for the Command, Snap Control, and Tool Control bars, as well as for the rulers, scroll bars, palette, and status bar. As an example, if I click to the left of palette to unselect, we can now see the color palette has disappeared. I am going to select it again, so we have our color palette below. So, this is Inkscape 1.0, the brand new Inkscape, and it comes with a slightly different interface than the older version. If you are using an older version, that is 0.9, you will see a wide interface like this one with slightly different icons and icon positions. The newer version comes with better icons, grouped more or less into functional categories. It also comes with themes you can use to customize the look and feel. Now, if for whatever reason you wish to use a dark theme, you can go to Edit, scroll down to the Preferences, or use the keyboard shortcut Shift-Control-P, then open the Interface drop-down, select Theme, and choose Use Dark Theme. This will give Inkscape a dark theme. Right now, the GTK theme is set to System Theme. You can choose the other options here on the list. We are also presently using the system icons. You can change the icon themes by choosing High Color, Multicolor, Tango, or the default system icon. There is a whole lot you can tweak here and there to customize the look and feel. Now, we are happy with the look and feel, so we begin using Inkscape. I am going to open up a document I prepared for you. To follow along, you can also open up this document. You can download this document for free. The download link of a folder containing it is in the description section below. When you download the folder, simply unzip and open it. Then click on Introduction and open the Introduction to the Interface file. We are going to use this file to help us demonstrate various functionalities which we are going to be covering later in this series. And this file will work whether you are using the present version of Inkscape or an older version. So, as you can see, this is a document with an object on a single page in the middle. We also have some artwork elements beyond the page borders. This is also used by some as a pasteboard area. You can paste things here you wish to use for your illustration, and they will be saved with the Inkscape document. However, only things within the page border will show up in a print or an export. Later, we will see how you can take away the page border. So, let us take a cursory look at the interface. All the white area you see here, including the page, is the canvas. Let us begin from the top. Here you have the standard menu you know for most programs. And here you can access a lot of functions and other controls. You will already be familiar with some of them, but we are not going to spend a lot of time here looking at each of them in detail. We will do this later in the course. Just under the menu, we have the Tools control. Now, this is useful as it displays various properties of any particular tool you have selected here on the left or an object you have selected on the board. We will see this in a minute. On the far left, we have this toolbox. This toolbox contains all the important tools that you will use in Inkscape. The toolbox has lots of icons we can activate. To activate, we simply click on an icon or press one of the many keyboard shortcuts. After clicking a tool icon or pressing its keyboard shortcut, the tool becomes active. And you may want to ask, how do we know which tool is active? An active tool has this highlight background rectangle behind it in the toolbox. In addition, you will also notice that the mouse cursor will change. The cursor will change, indicating a unique graphical representation of the tool icon we have active in Inkscape. Now, when we click on different icons, we will notice that the tool control bar changes. Each change of the tool control comes with some properties up here. The properties are unique to the tool we have currently selected. Now, if we look carefully at the tool control bar each time I select a new tool, we can also see that offers us the possibility to change the properties of an object before drawing or while it is selected. For some tools, we can see extra tools or functions within the tool control. If I click on this polygon or star tool, for example, we can see that stars or polygons of various sizes and shapes can be created with this tool very easily. Further, you see other properties you can alter. This is true for each of the tools you select. Now let us see how to use the control bar. If I select an object, I see I can rotate, place it at different depths, change the X and Y position, change the width and the height, the units, and much more. Later in the course, we will learn what these other four options here do. Now, if we have just selected those tools to use, you see the attributes you can change, as well as the fill and stroke color and stroke width. Later in this course, we shall see how to set defaults for the fill and stroke for objects from here. If I select the text tool, you will notice that the control contains attributes you associate with text like font type, size, line spacing, and much more. You must have realized that this control panel is the one unique area you will be coming to again and again frequently as you use Inkscape. Now, if we take a look at the bottom, we see some colors. This row is called the color palette. From here, you can choose any color to fill an object you have selected. To do that, I will first choose the selection tool. This is the first tool on the toolbox. It looks like an arrow. While it is active, I can select an object and click on any color below. The object will take on that new color. I am going to take Ctrl Z to undo the color change. But before we proceed, we have a question to answer. What is a fill? Below the color palette, we see another row. This is called the status bar. As the name betrays, it reports the real-time status of things you are doing on Inkscape and even gives you call to action suggestions that facilitate your use of the program. On the far left of the status bar, we see the fill and stroke color. At the moment, we can see that the fill color at the top is yellow-orange and the stroke color at the bottom is purple-blue. The fill is the inner part of the object. The stroke is the outline. If I select an object on the canvas, the status of the fill and stroke colors will change. To do this, I will first need to call or choose the Select and Transform tool. This is the first tool on top of the toolbar that looks like an arrow. With the selection tool active, let's select this smaller circle here below. You can see that the fill color and stroke in the status bar has changed to reflect the selected object. Now the fill color is red-orange and the stroke is blue-green. If we click on the bigger circle, we can see the fill color and stroke color changes back. Now the fill color becomes yellow-orange and the stroke is purple-blue. Now the status bar showing us these two colors for fill and stroke is important because it shows us that the selected object is one whole object and not two separate ones. Now on the left, we have a circle made up of two separate objects. If I try to select, you notice I can select two separate objects, each with its own fill color on the status bar. And if I select both objects, and we do that by having the selection tool active and holding the left mouse key down and pulling over both like so, we notice the status bar still does not show us two colors. If I click on this object on the left, I can move just one part at a time like so. I am going to press Ctrl Z on my keyboard to undo the actions. On the other hand, I can click and move this around like so since it is a single whole object. I am going to press Ctrl Z on my keyboard to undo this action and bring it back to place where it was. So if you select an object and then right-click on the fill and stroke status here below on the far left, we can swap the fill and stroke colors by pressing the swap fill and stroke option, as you can see. So quickly and easily and without hassle, we can swap the fill color and stroke color. Apart of swapping the fill and stroke, you have lots of other options you can select from after right-clicking on the fill and stroke status. Now, the default behavior for all Inkscape tools is to give the object you are drawing the same style as the last object you drew. The style in this case includes things like fill and stroke color, opacity, stroke width, and several other attributes. Later on this playlist, when we come to draw shapes, I am going to show you how to set up default styles for the different tools. Now, next to the stroke color, you see a figure. This is the stroke width. You can right-click on this figure and toggle the stroke unit or size as you wish. Next to the fill and stroke status is the letter O, like opacity. Opacity works like transparency in Adobe Illustrator. I can toggle the opacity by changing the figure in here. The opacity now is 100%. I can toggle it by using the plus and minus signs like so. I am going to take Ctrl Z several times to undo the action. And to deselect the object, I am going to click on a blank space on the canvas. Now, next to the opacity menu is layers. If we click on the drop-down, we notice all the objects here are on one layer. You can toggle the visibility of a currently selected layer by closing or opening this eye symbol here. This eyeball is now open, so you can see all objects on this layer. If I click on the eyeball, it will close and you will not see the objects on the layer. You can lock or unlock layers by clicking on this path lock. A locked layer will not allow you access to change any objects on it. On the far right of the status bar, we see the X, Y, and Z coordinates. And if I just move my mouse on the canvas, you notice the values, at least for the X and Y coordinates, change. Now, if we look slightly over on the right of the coordinates, we have the magnification or zoom tool. We can use this to zoom in a document like so by pressing the plus sign here and zoom out by pressing the negative or minus sign. On the right of the zoom tool here is the rotation tool. We can use this to rotate the document clockwise like so by pressing the plus sign here, or anti-clockwise by pressing the minus sign. Moving over to the right-hand side of the canvas, we have two panels or two columns. The first one from left is the command bar. The second one is the snap control bar. As we progress with the course, you will realize that the first column has an array of commands which are the same like those you will source from the main menu. From here, we can create a new document, open an existing one, save a document, print, import an image, export an image, undo last action, redo last action, copy to clipboard, cut, paste from clipboard, zoom to fit selection, zoom to fit drawing in a window, and much more. The second column, the snap control, has an array of different snapping functions. The snap controls can be used to define the snapping behavior of objects on the canvas. Snapping simply means the ability of one object or vector unit sticking to another when they come close. You will soon come to realize that you may need to toggle the snap controls on and off at times to optimize and ease your workflow. From here, you can set snapping in percentage, set snapping for bounding boxes, nodes, paths and handles, paths, path intersections, cusp nodes, smooth nodes, midpoints of line segments, other points, and much more. Don't worry if you haven't heard about all this before or you don't want to. I am going to explain the rationale for using each of them in very simple language in the course of this course. By the way, you are not called upon to use all of them always. We will handle the few essential ones, and later you can choose how deep you want to go with them. Now, there are some dockable dialogs we can use here on the right. I am going to open a few, and I am going to open up the few by clicking on this drop-down triangle. Then I am going to select Fill and Stroke, and do that sequentially for text and font. Then Layers, and layers are the one most powerful tools that allow you to have objects or their effects laid one on top of the other, and this gives you great control in editing different parts of the composite image, one layer after the other. Next, I will select Align and Distribute. That will allow us to align and transform objects, and we notice they all dock as individual docks or dialog boxes. However, the selections all look now like a mess and significantly reduce the canvas size. You can close a dock by pressing this X, but since I wish to use one, I will press Iconify this dock. This will create a minimal icon of the dock that stays vertical here on the right. You can open as many as you can, and a minimal docking icon array will show up here. The more dialog docks we iconify, a scroll bar will then appear, allowing us to pull and access the different icons. Moving your mouse wheel also allows you to toggle between icons. You access the different icons by clicking on them. Now, as we click on each icon, we can reveal the dialog behind it. You minimize them again by pressing Iconify this dock. Now, talking of scroll bars, they have a thumb you can grab and pull. Aside the thumb are troughs. Clicking on the trough allows you to jump to that point. These docking panels contain various tools and properties you can use on objects on the canvas. For example, I will select an object and click on the fill and stroke icon. On this fill and stroke dialog, you can change the fill and stroke paint, the stroke style, as well as the gradient, the blend mode, the blur and opacity or transparency. Other dialogs have other group functions you would learn to use during this course. To deselect the object, I am going to click on an empty space on the canvas. Now coming to the adjacent right and bottom of the canvas, you have scroll bars with thumbs you can grab and pull. Aside the thumb are troughs. Clicking on the trough allows you to jump to that point on the canvas. Now coming to the adjacent left and top of the canvas, you have rulers. Rulers help you to accurately place and measure objects on the canvas. We will learn more about this during this course. The last thing I wish to talk about is how you are going to see Inkscape on different screens. Depending on the screen you are using right now, you may see or miss seeing some of the icons of the interface. So, as you would have guessed, the toolbox, command, and snap control bars we have been looking at may have other hidden tools. If we look closely to the bottom of each column, we can see these little triangles or arrowheads below the array of tools we can see now. If you are on a bigger screen, you will see some more functions here below. On a standard laptop screen, they will be collapsed. To access them, you need to use the drop-down triangles or arrowheads. If I click on these ones, we are going to see other tools and controls we can use on Inkscape. Now, I am switching to a bigger screen for a few seconds so that you see what I mean. Just look below where the triangles are and notice you will now see the continuation of the array of tools or functions or controls under each column. Now you know where to look for the other tools, whether you are on a bigger screen or on a smaller one. For the duration of this course, we are going to record on a laptop, and we'll have this view with the triangles below each panel, hinting us to more tools or control options. So that was a brief overview of the new Inkscape 1.0 interface. In the next video, I will be taking a closer look at the document property, where I will be showing you how you can customize your page, guides, grids, snapping, colors, and much more to get a workspace customized to your taste. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.